Hello everybody, in this video I have a mixed media scrapbook process to share with you with the Thompson's Craft Supplies design team. I am using the very gorgeous Never Never Land papers from AB Studio and scrapping a picture of my cat. I thought there's some autumnal leaves and stuff in the picture, and these are quite rich, like late summer, early autumn kind of colours in the flowers in this collection, so I thought they would go together. I've trimmed down my picture quite a lot, as you can see. There was a lot of unneeded space in that picture, and also I just can't work with big blocky pictures. They upset me. I really like working with small pictures. So yeah, I just trimmed that down. First off, I'm going to cover my entire page in a layer of clear gesso, so it's going to cope with all the paint and mediums and all that kind of stuff that I'm going to throw at it. And then I thought I would start off by doing just a little bit of stenciling with some paint. The Fabrica Decoru metallic paint in the colour Iris that was sent with my design team kit. I'm using this Tim Holtz very fine damask stencil, and I'm just very lightly dabbing on the paint with just a makeup sponge. I think it was just a makeup sponge from Poundland or something. I'm only adding a tiny bit of paint to my sponge at a time, because if you put too much paint on it, then it's just not going to work with the stencil, and you just kind of end up with a blob and you can't really see the shape of what you're doing. So yeah, just lightly scraping on the colour that's on the sponge kind of thing. And then I wanted to do some stamping as well, so I decided I was going to do some normal stamping and then some stamping and embossing. So I'm embossing this stamp. It's from the Madame Boutique stamp set from Craft. I'm using a stamping block with this just because the stamp is kind of very long and delicate and fiddly. Usually I don't bother with a stamping block when I'm doing mixed media projects, but for this it was just, as I said, the stamp was a bit fiddly, so yeah, that's why I'm using it and embossing it in gold, as you can see. And then I think I'm going to do a second round of stamping and embossing with that stamp, just because, you know, when you stamp with embossing ink such as Versamark, which is what I use, you can't really see where you stamped, so you kind of have to do a best guess and then just go for it. So I usually do sort of 2 or 3 rounds of doing embossing in that way, just so I can kind of get an idea of where exactly I can go. And then I often forget where I've put the stamping and don't put the embossing powder in the right place, so yeah, it takes a couple of goes to get it all done. And then also I just wanted to do some simple plain ink stamping. There's this stamp from Craft which I'm obsessed with and I use it all the time. This one that's like a butterfly on some fencing or something with some florals. It's just gorgeous, and I'm just doing some basic stamping with that in Stays On Stone Grey ink. In some places just having that sort of fencing rather than the butterfly, just adding a nice little bit of interest and texture. And then because I am lazy, the way I'm going to clean my stamp off is just to flip the layout over and just kind of get rid of all the ink by stamping it on the back of the page like that. Just, yeah, the lazy way of cleaning a stamp. And then to finish off my background work, I'm just going to do a little bit of stenciling again, this with distressed crackle paste with this brickwork stencil, which is from Marry Me Small Art, I think, and just adding a little bit of texture with that. I knew this layout was going to be one with lots of fuzzy cut pieces, so I didn't want to overdo the texture in the background because I knew a lot of it was going to get covered up anyway, but I just wanted that, you know, that little something. And I just love the way you get the little crackles, and that just adds that certain little something. And with that stenciling done, I'm just going to set my layout aside to dry, because crackle paste, I've said this a zillion times, you're probably bored of it if you're a regular to my channel, but crackle paste needs to dry naturally rather than with a heat tool. But I knew I was going to do a lot of fussy cutting, so it was like the perfect opportunity. Do your fussy cutting while you wait for something to dry. So these bits here are from the Never Never Land papers, so beautiful. So I'm going to do a load of flowers and a couple of leaves as well. And then I also brought in the Minte Flora books, Flora book 1 and 2, just for a few more leaves, and I'm just putting them in a little tray there to keep them all safe and stuff. And then I'm going to play around with the AB Studio transparent foils. Now, up until now, I've just used them as acetate pieces and fussy cut them and whatever, but they're actually designed for, so on one side they've got a matte finish and you can actually foil them, and I didn't have the equipment beforehand to do it, so I just gave up and I bought some online, just some cheap foil. It's the first edition foil, this stuff. It was the cheapest I found on Amazon. I'll link it if I can find it. And I'm just gonna heat set that on, or whatever the proper word is for doing foiling, with a little mini travel iron. I stole this from my mum. She does encaustic art, which, if you don't know, is when you sort of iron wax onto paper to make paintings and stuff. I'm not explaining that very well, but anyways, yes, that's what that's for. But any travel iron, I'm sure, would work perfectly fine. I think I'm like legally obliged to say something like, it's an iron, it's hot, be super, super careful if you do this, but you know, that's obvious. Iron equals hot, be careful. But anyway, yeah, so you just, on the matte side, put your foil down and heat press it with the iron. You kind of have to hold the iron in place for a few seconds rather than just do an ironing motion, which kind of your hand wants to do naturally. You kind of have to hold it down and then scrape it across just to really get the foil to grip onto there. So yeah, the first bits I did were from some transparent foil I got sent in another kit. That was the transparent foil 0001 set. And then this one I'm doing here is the one I got sent with this kit. So this one is more of a background patterny thing, and the other one was more elements to fussy cut. And I thought, why not? I have foiled the bit at the bottom that said like AB Studio and the branding and all that. I thought I could just throw that in my junk journal or something at a later date. So yeah, just fussy cutting those little leafy pieces that I have foiled, and I think I'm gonna bring back in my nice dried layout now, and then pull in these chipboard pieces, also from AB Studio, also from my design team kit for this month. Just poking out some of the little bits, you know, between the flower shapes. I thought actually I would keep some of them just to make it a little bit more interesting or something. So as I was poking them out, if any of them were being a bit stubborn, I was like, let's just keep them there. It just makes it, as I said, a little bit more interesting. And to colour those, I'm just dry brushing on that same metallic paint in Iris that I used for my background. I think I do 2 layers of that. And then I brought in some gold embellishment mousse, the Nouveau embellishment mousse as well, just to add a little gold touch to it. There's lots and lots of gold on this page, you may have noticed already. And all those little wooden bits that I poked out of the chipboard, they are staying there for a reason. So keep an eye on those, because I'm going to use them for something else. So yeah, just dry brushing on that gold to give the chipboard pieces a bit more depth and interest and stuff. Then I'm going to bring in that foiled acetate background piece. I actually had no idea what I was going to do with this. I just wanted to do it and then figure it out once I had it done. So I thought it could just kind of, I knew I wanted to have my embellishments and stuff kind of going across the page, kind of in that top third area. So what I decided to do with the acetate piece was to sort of chop it, not in half, it's kind of like 2/3 and a third. With the larger piece, I am sort of roughly fussy cutting around the shape, and then as you can see, I'm just stapling them to either side. Now my staples in my stapler are a rose goldy coppery colour, which isn't ideal for using with gold, but I think it's slightly better than using like the normal steel colour of staplers. Like, it's less jarring, and some of them will get covered up anyway. And with the bigger piece, because I could only staple on one side because of the length of the stapler, I just used some glue dots to help keep it down, and then I'm going to cover up where the glue dots are so you can't see them, because they're not very attractive to look at. These pieces I am playing around with here, these are from that Tim Holtz journaling card set, like the 100 pieces. I thought they would be fun to use to back my photo, but then I needed something like just around the edge of the photo as well, so I just pulled out a random paper pad from my stash. I distressing the edges and then also going around the edges with Distress Oxide in Aged Mahogany, and I'm going to use that throughout the rest of this layout. It's not the perfect colour. I feel like this is one of the colours that the Distress line is missing, like a real true dark pinky red. Like the Aged Mahogany, you know, it does the job, it doesn't look bad or anything on this, but I just felt like I needed something a bit more pinky. I don't know, hard to explain, but they're releasing more and more colours, so maybe they've got that in the lineup. Who knows? But yes, so I'm going to plop down that biggest card on 2 layers of foam, so that and the picture are going to really, really stand out, and then layer it up with the other card, and then of course with my picture as well. And now comes the part of arranging all of my embellishments, the chipboard pieces and all the fussy cut pieces. One thing I was thinking at this point, I had 2 chipboard pieces, and it was upsetting me because I'm very much into the rule of 3 when it comes to my creative things. So the bigger one, as you saw, I chopped a bit off it so I could put a part of it at the bottom, and it just looks so much better, so much more balanced and stuff when you've got 3 rather than 1 either side. In this context anyway, obviously there are times when 2 works, but this was not one of those times. I stuck those chipboard pieces down with the gloss gel medium rather than the glue gun, just because they were so delicate, and glue gun, it's quite hard to get to all those little fiddly pieces. So yeah, that's why I did that. And then this is where I bring in all those leftover chipboard pieces. I'm using those just to sort of layer up all my fussy cut flowers so they're at different levels. So just basically using them like you would use foam tape or whatever, but I thought I might as well use them because they're right there and they're nice small little sizes, so I don't have to cut them down or anything. So yeah, those worked out really, really well. And yeah, going around the edges of every single thing with the aged mahogany and just layering up the flowers and the leaves. And that, yeah, that's all I'm going to do for the next few minutes, really. I did cut out of the video a massive chunk of me doing this, so do not worry, you will not watch the whole thing. But it's trying to find a balance of not boring you, the watcher, but also like people like to see how you layer things and where exactly you put them and stuff. So trying to find a balance. If you wanted to see how the layering process works and everything, hopefully I've left enough in for that, but not too much that you get bored. Although I'm running out of things to say about my fussy cut flowers at the moment, though. It did get to a point eventually where I only had like 3 tiny little fussy cut leaves left, so I just had to include those because otherwise they'd just get lost and ended up being thrown away or something. So I made some room for those teeny tiny leaves to make sure they get included. And then once everything like that is down, I'm going to add those gold foiled acetate pieces, the fussy cut leaves. Now with some acetate pieces you have to be very careful using a glue gun because obviously hot and plastic, they get a bit melty, but because these are heat resistant for the whole heat foil transfer thing, it's not a problem with these, so you don't have to worry. But I am only putting hot glue on like the bottom part of the leaf that is not going to be seen, is going to be hidden under other fussy cut pieces as well, just because it's not very attractive to look at dried hot glue. It's all squishy and bleh. So yes, making sure I am hiding the actual sticky bits. Then I'm not going to put a title on this layout. I very rarely do on my mixed media layouts, but I am going to add a few Tim Holtz clippings, stickers. I think I found 1 from the old pack and then the rest of them from the newer pack. And I was just going to add like cute things about nature and stuff, but then I found 1 and then I found a load that kind of work with my cat. I've got it here actually, so I got like curious looking, intent upon behaving badly, his eyes were bright, and he could make it on his looks alone. I just totally random phrases, but I kind of made them work together, and it's very suited to my cat. Intent upon behaving badly, but very, very handsome. That's my cat. Anyways, adding splatters here. These colours, it's raspberry and gold, but they're both Heidi Swap Colour Shine, which is discontinued now. Sometimes you can find it in random places like Amazon, eBay, whatever, but just full disclosure, they are discontinued. And then I'm going to finish off with a load of Nuvo drops, of course. First off are stone drops in Gold Rush, and then I wanted to add some red ones because I don't have much occasion to use red Nuvo drops, so when I have the opportunity I jump on it. So these are stone drops as well. They are Fiery Volcano, I think, and then finishing off with gloss drops in Autumn Red, which is just such a lovely colour. It's gorgeous. And then that is going to be it for this layout. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. As always, links will be in the description box as well as a corresponding blog post if you want a better look at the pictures or anything like that. Let me know if you have any questions, anything to say, just anything. Love chatting to everybody, and I really appreciate comments because they help me out so very much. And yep, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to go. Thank you so much again. Bye bye.